Okay, the Christmas edition of Ask a Special Education Attorney. I'm going to be festive, and I'm going to answer very, very serious questions wearing a variety of festive gear. So I hope you can take this serious. This question's actually quite serious. It's a good one, okay? About self-contained classrooms and, things of that nature. So let's get to it. I know these look expensive. They even have a little mistletoe right here. All right. But, and they're not prescription, so I'm going to have to switch for just a second. Okay, over to my real prescription glasses. All right, self-contained environment, middle school, room with 10 students, teacher, 3 paras, and basically been teaching the same thing. Look, guys, and I'm speaking from experience as a father and also as a special education attorney, dealing with self-contained classrooms as much as I do. My own child has been in a self-contained environment for her entire education career, which is the right environment for her. But believe me, I'm very, very cognizant, not only from the work that I do, but also as a parent on my child's IEP team, at the absolute difficulty of a self-contained environment, not only for the educator responsible for being in there that frequently has an untrained staff or not enough staff support for, and also no curriculum, very little training and support in a very complex and complicated setting with a variety of students with varying, at varying levels of need, also, and varying levels of knowledge, education, deficits, age. All right, so there's a whole variety there. So the teacher that is in a self-contained environment, it has about 45 different obstacles that don't exist in other aspects of the education world. So I am very, very aware of that. At the same time, I'm also very aware about the reality that the path of least resistance, if you wanted to really not do anything during your school day, then you could go into self-contained and because, and I'm not generalizing by any means, because obviously my child's in one and my teachers have been excellent. But I also have been in far too many of these classrooms to where, I know of a hell of a lot of gossiping going on, a lot of Facebooking, a lot of computer time, a lot of purchases being made online. Those things are absolutely happening. And education's not occurring. Babysitting is occurring. So if I'm very aware of that, then look, I'm not generalizing. There are some bad apples out there, and they tend to gravitate toward some self-contained environments because there's not a lot of care by administration on what goes on in these places. Otherwise, they would be staffing them correctly, providing the teachers a curriculum, providing them ongoing training, third-party support, and everything that they would need for a setting with such a variety of students that they have to serve. But they don't do that. So I live in reality and a full understanding that if they want to pull aides, they pull them from self-contained first and pull them somewhere else. Because who cares about those kids? And I know that sounds callous, but that's the reality. So you just got to deal with it. You just got to deal with what you got. And this is where the parents of children that are self-contained have to fight a little bit harder than everyone else. They do. Okay, and those of you out there that have a child that's in general education the majority of their day, please understand that there are some of us out there, myself included, that are fighting a completely different battle that most of you would shudder if you knew what was going on in some of these classrooms. And it's either not enough, not a lot, or too much, and it's overboard, and it's abusive, and it's some of these self-contained environments, if they were private daycares, would be shut down and these people arrested. All right, so yes, And this is also, these tend to be the classrooms where the school is the least transparent, which is why parents are bent, a lot of them, on putting recorders on their children, especially if their children are less communicative, because the schools tend to be very, very closed off and not transparent as to what's going on in these classes and what's really being taught. In this particular situation, if you've been told that it's based upon what's easiest for her, it's not that I don't believe that or understand it. It's because the administration isn't supporting the teacher, and the teacher's either given up or doesn't know what to do. There's a myriad of things. And if this stuff is in writing, especially, and if it's not in writing, then you need to get the stuff in writing. If these people have been telling you, and it's just, and they're so so relaxed about what they're telling you, then that's troubling, number one. And then at that point, though, if you were to challenge them on it, then all of a sudden, if it's not written down, then they're just going to sit there and say, well, we never said that. So you need to sort of catch these people with something, let me hide behind my glasses for a second. Okay. So let's answer the questions right quick. Since these students have an IEP, does the teacher not have to provide work tailored to their learning abilities? Of course she does. But does it happen? No. That's exactly what you're saying. Of course she does. Your IEP is written on a specific level, and it is true that they provide one lesson. It tends to be low ball, and I'm talking about the soft, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's just the easiest route, and they give everybody a lesson, and it tends to be stuff that they've heard, or maybe one child in that class might be at that level. But I had a case a few years ago, and this thing went all the way to due process, and we won it with a family that relocated to Alabama from Connecticut, and they had a great program in Connecticut, horrible program in Alabama. And he hadn't been in a self-contained environment since he was like 10, and he was in high school now, approaching his 21st birthday, and he was spending most of his time when he was in Connecticut in supported employment off of school, and just doing functional academics and math and reading at school itself. The rest of the day was out in supported employment and independent living exercises. Well, in Alabama, they said, well, we don't do that. And then they stuck him in a self-contained environment. And guess what he did all day? He watched Barney and Dora the Explorer most of his day. And here he was, a 20-year-old young man. And that's what was going on in that self-contained environment. And he was able to come home and tell his parents what he had done all day. And nobody seemed to care. So yes, of course. Now, number two, how can she get away with providing the same worksheets over and over again when the student has demonstrated mastery of the skill? Well, they get away with it when nobody challenges them in mediation, Office of Civil Rights complaint, a state complaint, or through due process. All right, that's where you have to hold these people accountable. But going into an IEP meeting isn't really going to cut it. They have to be challenged in other mechanisms, but I can tell you that most of these worksheets are being printed off online on free websites because the school itself has not provided that teacher any kind of curriculum that can be utilized and specific for your child or any of the other children. The teacher is doing the best that he or she can. Most of them in that particular situation. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon that she's just absolutely lazy and worthless, as much as untrained, undersupplied, non-supported. I'm more going to that way, and so I can see where somebody would want to give up. Not an excuse, but a reality. Is this a violation of FAPE? I would absolutely lean that direction. Asking because I don't have a clear understanding of FAPE and how it relates to the classroom, but other parents are asking the same questions. Okay, I'm about to do, a seminar on the new legal standard of what a free and appropriate public education is per the Andrew F. Standard coming out of the Supreme Court, all right? But at the same time, understand that FAPE, or free and appropriate public education in short, is the substance to your child's program. It is your child's IEP squeezed and condensed down to the goals and services, supplemental aids and services, the related services like speech language, and whether your child with that IEP as it was designed is making tangible, measurable progress toward their goals and improving. But if they're doing the same stuff all the time and your child has mastered the stuff over multiple school years, then your child isn't making progress. All right? If water's not moving, even though water gives life and we all need water, if water is not moving and it's just there, then it's tepid. It ends up growing stuff on top of it. It ends up stagnating. It ends up stinking. And it ends up absolutely, if you allow it to, grow enough algae over the top, it will actually kill whatever is beneath it. Same thing with humans. If your child's not constantly moving, toward goals and constantly progressing, then you got stagnation. Your child's not progressing. So yes, that would be a violation of the substantive aspect of your child's program and therefore a violation of FAPE. Is there anything that parents can do to ensure their children are actually being taught? You're going to have to challenge. You're going to have to challenge it through one of these mechanisms that I told you about. You have to go in there and ask for an IEP and then say you don't agree with it. That it's a big pile of steamy monkey crap. And I don't have a problem using those words, guys. Sometimes you've got to jostle people into some reality, because they're sometimes they're proud of this crap that they give us in the form of these IEPs that are not good. They are steamy piles of monkey crap. Okay. And I think I know where you are, Sandra. Well, you said that. I'm going to remove that as far as where you are. And tell you what, let's private message on this and see what I would, what other advice I could give. Because I do know where you are. And you're in a difficult district, obviously, but you know that. Difficult one. Dare I say, the Emperor Palpatine and the Dark Sith Lord of special education happens to be your director. Sad times. All right.